Hi, this video is meant to be a short introduction for a series of videos I'm thinking about doing on the Commodore 64 family of microcomputers. And this is my prettiest Breadbin computer, and it's been stored in my attic for many years. And this computer is in excellent condition. It has a very low serial number. Of course, the serial numbers on Commodore computers is not a linear function, but this is quite the low number. And as you can see, both the packaging and the styrofoam inside is in nice condition. And so is the Breadbin itself. And this is actually the kind with the yellow or light brownish function keys, and this is the same serial number as it's stated on the box. So this computer was originally in this box, and as you can see, this has the version with the separate luma chroma signals. So it's not the earliest version of the board with only the composite video output. The case is in excellent condition, and the keys looks like they never been used. And this box might been opened many years ago, but we will take a quick peek inside to see the condition of this machine from the inside, and we will also reveal what kind of revision of the board that's contained within. Yeah, we will just open this very carefully, and this is the original screws. And what's special about this is that these screws are actually quite smaller than the ones used in the absolute earliest models and in the American version of the C64. Yeah, I will just shake out the screws, as the screwdriver was not magnetic. Yeah, you can see the small size of these screws. And this has the European version of the RF shield. That's just a coated piece of cardboard. Yes, as you can see, the unit is really clean, and it looks about unused. And for those of you who know the inwards of the Commodore 64 by hand, would see that this is a Q version of the board. The placement of the capacitors and the voltage regulators and the driving transistor for the cassette interface is placed in a different fashion than on the later boards. I will just open the shield for the VIC chip, and as you can see, this is an early revision VIC-2 chip with the ceramic case, and these chips often give a more undefined picture with less clarity than the newer versions. And this is the heatsink for the voltage regulator. It's kind of unique for this model of board. And as you can see, most of the chips in this computer is placed in a socket. This is as a comparison to a later board, and this is the layout that's more common with the voltage regulators and the capacitors. And you also have the heatsink placed down in the rightmost corner. And the driving transistor for the cassette interface is placed right beside the cassette interface. The ROM chip is a very early version. It's a 1-point version of the ROM, and it's also early revisions of both the SID chip and the PLA. And the date code on the 6526 are actually 82. And some of the other dates code on this computer is 83, but there is no chip older than 83 about summertime in this machine. Yeah, we will just close this up again, and we will try to make a short test on the machine to see that it actually works after all these years in storage. When we close this, we have to be careful so that we get the plastic hinges or tabs in the back inside the case so that we don't break anything. This plastic is of course very brittle after all those years. Yeah, so now just put the screws back and we are good to go to make a small test of this computer. And this time you can see that I'm using my blue power supply. I actually have 3 of those with matching LED, top markings, and also the connector. If I'm testing more than one Commodore 64 at a time, I really like to know that I turn on and off the right computer. That's why I made these power supplies. And this is a refurbished power supply with a switch mode regulator for the 5 volt and the original transformer inside for the AC voltage. And these are really safe. Power supply like this, it fails in open mode so that it will not give too high power. And as you can see, this LED that originally in the Commodore 64 is very dim, but that was the way it was. This is an almost unused machine and the LED is still very dim. Yes, and as you can see, it works and gives a steady picture, but as this is an older VIC-2 chip, you can see the red bleeding on the screen and also some other effects. But all in all, I'm just satisfied with this. You can see the bleeding here between the M's and so on. We will just test this with an ordinary test cartridge. I have not bothered to connect the test harness, so this will only display the basic test and also make sound on the SID chip. And it will also list what kind of ROMs we have in this machine. As I stated earlier, there was older versions of the kernel ROM and also of the basic ROM in this machine. And this lists the normal bad test that you will have when you don't have the test harness connected. Yes, so that was the basic test of the machine, that it still works. And as you can see when we zoom into this machine has the original square hole around the keyboard connector and also power written downwards like this besides it. And that's something that's normal coupled with the silver label machines. So I was going to test this with my Kung Fu flash cartridge. I run into a small problem. I bought this as a ready-built kit out of the internet, and they have printed this case with a 3D printer and use cheap PLA plastic. And as you can see, this plastic is now becoming warped, so it's bent down here and it also bent down here on the sides. So I was not able to put this into the computer. So I have to take the PCB out of here to run a test with the Kung Fu flash cartridge. I have installed some games on this one and some other stuff. So it's just a good test. Yeah, now I've taken the PCB out and put the Kung Fu Flash into the computer, and I'm just trying to load up Gauntlet here to see. And this is actually a cracked version by the 2001 crew from back in the day. And this is a good test because this game uses a lot of the memory, so it's actually a quite good test. And Gauntlet was also one of my favorite games. I'm not much of a game person, but Gauntlet actually was a favorite of mine, and I think it's a really well implemented game on the Commodore 64. The music from Ben Daglish is also quite good. We won't play it now though, so this was just a short test to see that it actually works. And just to get into the mood for some Commodore 64, I'm going to fire up this. And this is actually something I ordered from the shared project part on PCBWay. And this is a pole position cartridge. It's very simple design, but I like the cutout that they've made on top of the PCB. So they actually have this figure of a racer car here. And this is just a very simple cartridge, and I suppose it was like this back in the day. I didn't know actually that pole position was a cartridge game, because I always had it as a copy on both tape and later floppy disk. But as a final test of this computer, and actually more to see that the cartridge is okay. Fits right in, and on it goes. And you can see some of the red bleeding here and mixing in of the signals on this screen, and that's quite normal on one of these ceramic VIC-2 chips, but normally it's not as bad as this. And you can see the bleeding on all the colors here, but I think this is partly due to a very bad video scaler on the composite video input on this cheap LG LCD screen. Yes, and that's it for this short video. Hope you enjoyed the content. This was just a video I made to get into the mood to do some Commodore 64 stuff. And I really enjoyed taking a look at this old Breadbin in such a pristine condition. Please hit subscribe if you want to be notified while we post another video. And see you again in the next one. Thanks for watching.